Here's one of the things I wonder about. I wonder, what would it be like if preachers imagined that preaching is not finally about teaching the faith, although it is. It's not ultimately about teaching the Bible, although it is. It's not primarily about moving the worship service along, although there's a part of that too. I wonder what would happen if we imagined that preaching was a matter of life and death. That in the spoken word, we are awakened to the ways in which we are dying. And that sounds very heavy and a downer, and so probably won't go over in some of the churches that want to be upbeat and positive and your best life now and all that. But most of us spend a lot of time in our lives pretending that we've got it all together, that we love our job, perfect spouse, great kids. How are you doing? I'm fine, just fine. We spend a lot of time in pretense. And maybe for some people that works. For a lot of people, though, it's suffocating. And the word of the preacher, not as judgment or condemnation, but the word of the preacher who tells the truth about the joyful aspects of life, but also life's disappointments, about our hopes, but also our fear, about our triumphs and our tragedies, invites us for those few moments of the sermon and worship to take off the mask and put it away, to take off the armor that we wear all the time, and to be real. And in that realness, we recognize that death is a part of this life. And only by recognizing that, then can the preacher, now that the hearer is vulnerable, can the preacher, or really can the hearer, hear and trust the word of life and salvation and grace that the preacher's offering. Because as long as I'm wearing my armor, then the gospel, I don't really need it. It doesn't make much sense to me. It's kind of like in relationships in life. The thing we all want the most is to find someone who will accept us truly, to love us for who we are. But for us to trust the person who says, I love you, we have to believe that they know us. Otherwise, every time they say, the person, the beloved says, I love you, part of you is always thinking, well, thanks, but would you love me if you knew this? And so you find yourself in this predicament. On the one hand, you don't want to show all. You don't want to make yourself vulnerable because they might reject you. Other people have. It's a real risk. But if you don't, you can never trust those words. That's what's happening in preaching. We're inviting people to be known, to trust that the biblical word, God's word in the sermon, tells the truth about us deeply. And then, having been known, we can hear this other word, that we are also loved. And that experience of dropping our defenses is not unlike dying. And that experience of, once we've made ourselves vulnerable or been rendered vulnerable, hearing the word of affirmation, of love, of forgiveness, of grace, is not just like, it is new life. So my challenge to preachers, or my invitation, or my plea really, is to take the preaching text seriously, to imagine, to believe that what you do is a matter of life and death.